From Pet Sematary by Stephen King. The soil of a man's heart is stonier, Lewis. A man grows what he can and he tends it. 'Cause what you buy is what you own, and what you own always comes home to you.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. Today, we're discussing some out-of-place artifacts for today's curiosity. This is Mallory, aka The Collector, and I am joined by my limited edition BFF, Ariel.
You only wish you could get me.
Our Supreme Overlord, Carla, is here, bringing us the knowledge.
Absolutely.
We are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. Zach, today's knowledge guru, is recording from Seattle, Washington.
I will enlighten you all.
Before we get to it, you can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You should give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library, and give our podcast Goodreads page a look, which we have linked in our episode description, along with our personal Goodreads pages.
Okay, are we ready to get started? I have always liked out-of-place artifacts because there's just such a mystery about them. They don't seem to make sense. No one can understand how they got to where they were at or who made them or what they meant. Today, I have some that are out-of-place artifacts found in stone. So you think, oh, it's got to be around for a long time because it's in stone. Maybe, maybe not. I have 3 books that I have looked these up in. One is 10 OOPArts, which are out-of-place artifacts, by Martin Eddington. More out-of-place artifacts by Martin Eddington, and the Encyclopedia of Out-of-Place Artifacts by the same author.
He knows everything.
He spent a lot of time on them. One of the first ones I ever heard about was called the London Hammer, and it was found in London, Texas, not London, England, by... I don't think it has... Oh, Max Hahn. There we go. I can't read today either. It was just sticking out of he found a piece of wood sticking out of a piece of rock. So he took it home to chip it open to see what was inside it because it was just a weird looking thing. And he found a hammer. And there's pictures of this all over the internet. The rock that the hammer was found in, it's a metal hammer with a wooden handle. But the rock is about 500 million years old. So you're like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? But the hammer is the kind used in the early 19th century by miners. Now, there are some explanations as to how this could have happened, where the minerals in the rocks dissolved and then solidified around the hammer, where maybe it had fallen in a crack or something. But anyway, that was the first one, and it's a really unusual picture to look at. So you need to look it up, or we'll put the picture in the notes. What do you have to say about this one, Zach?
All right. So a couple things. First of all, the hammer does look pretty cool. It's straight up, it's in rock. You can tell it's just like the rock has definitely formed around it. It's got the wooden handle sticking out, and it does look like just like an older, rusty mining hammer. All right. So currently, this thing is owned or was purchased in 1983 by Carl Bow, who's a young Earth creationist, and he claimed that the rock was found around the Cretaceous, was from the Cretaceous period, what he calls pre-flood, and he's using it as evidence that the Cretaceous Hensel Sand Formation, which is dated to 100 million years old, is much younger than scientists claim it is, and therefore there was no time for evolution. So he's just using this to like discount like the scientific understanding of evolution,
to forward his own agenda,
which is kind of goofy. Yeah. But yeah, to put forward his own agenda. And he's going to show up a couple more times, apparently, today, because I kept finding him in all of these artifacts.
Okay.
He just keeps buying them all.
I have a question.
But, yeah.
Okay, so they carbon date the rock, right? To figure out how old it is?
It's not carbon dated.
You can't carbon date rock.
Okay, well, they figure out how old the rock. Can they carbon date the hammer?
They should be able to carbon date the wood, and I don't I don't know why it's not been done.
Actually,
according to the notes here, it says wood dating was inconclusive. But
the one that I read in the books that I have said it was between present day and 700 years ago.
That really narrows it down.
well, okay, that makes some sense. It's hard to do radiometric dating on stuff that's that young, if it is like 700 years. So it's, even so, it's not 100 million years old. So
No, not the wood anyway.
Not the wood. So, yeah, it's stylistically the same as like late 19th century American tools, right? And the best guess is that this is a result of concretion, which is a pretty common process that happens about a bunch of different stuff. It's how they find a bunch of fossils and things, right? They look for these concretion nodules is what they're called. And I'll explain what concretion is here in a second, but the hammer itself, obviously it's not as old as the rock. It couldn't be, because at least the metal, I guess the metal head could be, maybe, but the wood is there, and it's like, it would have petrified or rotted away or something, so it's weird, right? I'll admit that this is like super weird, especially when you look at the pictures.
Yeah, the wood should be like an agate or something by now.
Yeah, you would think. It would have been petrified. It would have turned into an agate or whatever, right? But it's not. If it was that old, right? So, concretion. I have the Wikipedia definition here, but it's awful. I'll read it to you. Detailed studies have demonstrated that concretions form after sediments are buried before the sediment is fully lithified during diagenesis. Okay, so lithified is something becoming stone.
Okay, I was going to say, now everybody has to get a dictionary to figure out what the heck that
I know, it's
meant.
like lithified is turning to stone, and diagenesis is the process by which things become stone, from what I can understand. Basically, it's saying that something got stuck in like pre-rock type thing before like it squished down or whatever, and then it does the concretion process, and what that is apparently in softer stone like sandstone, limestone, you can have water that's like got a bunch of minerals in it or whatever, either iron or calcites or whatever the heck, calcium carbonate, bunches of different things. And it'll dissolve, if it's a little acidic, it'll dissolve away the limestone or sandstone or whatever, and leave behind little bits of this concretion material, which is just stuff that's dissolved in the water. It'll precipitate out as long as there's like some sort of seed thing there. It's similar to basically how pearls are made in oysters, right? You got a little piece at the very beginning, and then it keeps building up layers and layers and layers and stuff around it. With a oyster, obviously, it's doing it intentionally, but with this, it's just a natural process that occurs. And I mean, this is a pretty big concretion for how long it has had to make it, but that's the best guess of what this one is.
So we said this was the London hammer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just for some reason, the only thing my brain could think is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when they're talking about him becoming king and how he became king. Just like, what if a lady in a lake put it there, you know? Just distributing hammers.
Was it just because some lady chucks a sword at me doesn't make me
coming out of the distributing swords.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What a good movie. I haven't seen that forever.
Yeah, me either.
Okay.
All right, but yeah, that's the best guess. It's concretion. But we can continue on to the next one. We got like 10 of these things, so.
Which would make more sense on some of these other ones. Then there was the ancient transformer found in a stone in Kosovo. The stone dates to about 20,000 years ago, and it has an unusual shape with a copper coil inside. And when x-rayed, it contains an insulator and 4 symmetrical openings. Now, this one I could see being a concretion also, but those 4 symmetrical openings are pretty impressive to look at.
Yeah, no, it's a really weird looking thing. You can see it. It's basically, it looks like almost a cube of stone with some cracks in it, and then a chunk is missing out of the side of it, and you can see this copper coil in there. And there's like the 4 holes on, I think the bottom side, or when they x-rayed it or whatever. They've like sanded it down or something, so you can see the 4 holes now sticking out of it. And I'll be real honest, I couldn't find like any actual scientific discussion of this at all. So I'm just going to go based on what I was trying to figure out from comment sections of various forums. So, I'm not entirely sure how they dated this rock. Like, usually you use layering or you use like embedded organics or gases in the stone to figure out how old it is. So I don't know how they got this 20,000-year-old thing. They said a geologist, which is not helpful.
I want to think it was the layering. Let me check here.
Yeah, if you can find it, because I didn't see, at least in the stuff I was looking at, the discussion of how they figured out how old it was.
It says it was found in stone not less than 20,000 years old, which makes me think more of a concretion than, I don't know.
Yeah, so it looks to me like it's just straight up some sort of concretion or concrete itself. Like, but it doesn't seem like it's that old, and I'm not entirely sure about that number.
And it doesn't seem...
I saw the no less than 20,000 years old, but I didn't see how they got that.
And it doesn't say. It doesn't... It's. I guess the geologist is like, oh, that's what this is. I don't know. But it is a weird-looking thing, and it doesn't look real organic.
No, it doesn't. It looks like a man-made sort of object. The concretion does, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's very cube-like. It's got like pretty sharp corners and edges. The weird thing I thought about this, though, is that it's got the copper wires exposed, at least in the images. I don't know if they...
Yeah.
I assume it was like that for a while. But you would have expected the copper to just like waste away if it was like any sort of like that length, or at least be green. And it's like...
And it's not.
Not polished looking, but it's coppery looking. So it's a strange one. I couldn't find out hardly anything about this one, though.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think it's where anyone can see it now.
I mean, I did find bunches of information about it, but they're all from, like, sites that are very, very suspect.
My favorite kind.
From just
Those
the
are
title.
my favorite kind of sites.
Yeah, if you just type in Kosovo Transformer to the internet, you get stuff from... the first thing is a Pinterest, which is not...
Why?
Not the best source of information, I don't think, personally. And then there's like alternate history subreddits, and then notfromearth.org. I mean, these are not places that you would expect to be the most rigorous. But yeah, it's a cool looking thing.
It's just a weird artifact. I mean,
it is a weird artifact. It looks fairly modern, like I'd say 100 years ago or something like that.
Can that much
Maybe.
concretion form around it in that length of time?
I don't know. See, that's the
really
thing.
thick.
I'm not entirely sure this was a concretion in the same way that the other ones were, because of the shape.
Yeah, it is weird.
Right? I mean, it's possible, but the shape is weird, right? The shape is real weird, and it looks like it's like a concrete block, honestly, is what it looks like, but it's had some serious weathering on it. So I don't know. It's a weird one.
It is weird. The next one we have are is it bygone pipes? Is that how you pronounce it, you think? Bygone?
Bygone?
Okay. And they're associated with the
know.
White Mountain in China. They're estimated to be 150,000 years old. And it has in parentheses metal pipes. I don't think there's much metal left. But they go on for like several feet, like meters or something, inside the mountain through the solid rock. And it does look just like a pipe. Except they're not as round as you would think a pipe would be. But they have found several, there's not just one, there's several.
No, there's bunches of these things, apparently. Yeah.
So, and they think maybe to explain this one away would be it's tree roots that have fossilized.
Nope.
So.
I've decided that it's how the trolls got water in and out of the mountain.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's what it is. Definitely. Troll irrigation.
Trolligation.
Trolligation. Love that.
Yeah, so...
Oh my God.
That's today's title.
So the initial thought
Yeah.
for these was apparently that they were a complicated network of pipes that predated human civilization by tens of thousands of years, which would be wild. So initially when they were first doing these examinations, though, because people weren't convinced by that, fairly, I think, is that they thought it was magma insertions into the ground, which would be dope.
But it doesn't look like that either.
And it doesn't look like that. And they're also close to oil fields.
Uh-huh.
So it was pretty quickly discounted by the Chinese government because they're like, no, there's no volcanic activity there. We have oil fields right nearby. Like, we wouldn't have those if that was the case. Later, they were thought to be like basically holes that had opened up and have been repeatedly filled by various iron-rich minerals, which mixed with the local stone. All right, but apparently that's not it either.
Now they think it's
Eventually,
tree root.
yeah, eventually some Chinese scientists used atomic emission spectroscopy to conduct a detailed chemical analysis of the rusty pipe fragments. Okay, so it is rusty. There's a lot of iron in there. And they found them to contain organic plant matter, right? So something from a plant.
So was it?
And then apparently they have tree rings under a microscope, is what it says.
So was that inside the pipes or was it in the whole thing?
The whole thing, okay. Apparently. Yeah,
because
they had
I'm
some.
thinking maybe it was a pipe that rusted and then trees
like a shell
grew through
that
the
had
holes, like you know how willows will do. They'll find the easiest way. Well, most trees will find the easiest way to send their roots. So
they didn't have that detail in there. They just said that they found rings under the microscope and that it did contain plant matter. I don't know. I assume this is all the way through, but again, they didn't actually say that. I didn't see the original source.
Yeah.
It was in Chinese.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to.
So the interesting thing is that the Kaidam Basin was once a vast lake, and it disappeared as the Qinghai Tibet Plateau uplifted the basin to its current elevation of about 2,800 meters. Over millennia, various floods filled in the sink with runoff, alluvium, and debris including such fossils. So basically, you had these tree roots that were eventually fossilized by stuff coming in and filling up the holes that were left behind by the tree roots like decaying, right? Essentially, they decayed outward and they get the rings and stuff. And actually, there's a good Skeptoid episode about this. It's Skeptoid 181, which was from 2009. It's a pretty good little podcast. I mean, they're not super well known like us, but you know.
Well, you know, I guess they just need to up their game.
I know, exactly. Just got to help out the little guy over here, guys.
But it's another neat. I mean, when you look at the pictures, I can see where they would have initially thought these are pipes.
Yeah, no, they look just like pipes. They're very, very cylindrical. They're long,
and
they don't taper very much. Like they're pretty crazy looking.
And as far as I could tell, they're not found anywhere. They haven't found any anywhere else. Just there.
No.
So,
not to my knowledge, at least.
Which gives me a little bit of like, you never know. Okay, our next one is the Koso artifact. It's found in 1961 and was thought to be a geode. But when it was cut open, it contained a round ceramic-like object. Inside the circular object was a bright metallic metal 2 millimeters in circumference. And around the circle was a layer of corroded copper. X-rays showed even more detail. The rock is thought to have been formed about 500,000 years ago, and now the object is missing. It looks like a spark plug. Kind of.
It does. It looks a lot like a spark plug. Okay, so this one. The 500,000 year claim. I was trying to figure out where this came from, and apparently it's claimed to be from a trained geologist who said that, but the information comes from a letter from a reader of the Desert Magazine of Outdoor Southwest. So I have no idea where they just apparently have run with this 500,000 year number.
I mean,
from a letter from a reader of that magazine, which is strange.
Who's to say the reader isn't a trained geologist?
I mean, maybe they are, but they didn't have a name, so I don't know. Okay, the general consensus is that this is simply another concretion. This was more iron-rich, and the seed thing there was just the iron oxide on the spark plug. Apparently, at least it closely resembles, or probably is, a 1920s era Champion spark plug, the kind they use in Model A and Model T engines, which is pretty cool.
It is cool.
And there's pictures online you can see of what those spark plugs look like. What?
But the fact that it was found, I mean, the geode thing.
It was found in a weird spot.
Yes, it was. It was like the nodules usually form in something. There's like some kind of hollow or something that they don't just build up.
Yeah, so where did this geode thing come from? Because if you look at the picture, it doesn't look like a geode, right? It just looks like a rock with a spark plug in it.
Well,
there's not
geodes
a
don't
area,
look much like geodes. I mean, they're just like rocks. They're not even always round.
But they cut it open. Usually there's a hollow.
Not
right?
always. Some of them are solid. Some of them are solid agates or solid crystals, or it's not The reason you can tell when you're picking up geodes, if it feels lighter than it looks, it's going to be hollow and you're going to have the pretty crystals. If it feels heavy, it's going to be solid.
It still counts as a geode, though?
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
not
because
hollow?
it's like that
Oh,
round
interesting.
nodule-like thing. That's where they're not all round. They're just...
Yeah. Roundish or whatever. Yeah, I get you.
There was a
everything.
There was a hollow inside, but it filled up entirely.
Okay. Eventually, this was inspected by a geologist from the University of Washington Earth and Space Science Department, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Nice little connection there. I think it's the same University of Washington from here, but it could be one of their branch things.
That's what I thought.
I think it was a branch thing, but either way, they could find no evidence of the 500,000-year-old thing, and they did confirm that it's almost certainly a 1920s spark plug, which is wild.
So how do they end up in
found
these solid rocks?
So there is the concretion aspect, right? But also, so there wasn't a ton of information about how it was initially found or why they cut this thing open anyway in the first place.
Well, I can tell you why they did that. They thought it was a geode. I mean, you're going to want to see what's inside it.
I mean,
They
fair.
crack them at all
Fair.
the rock and gem shows. They have like a table sit there. You pick a geode, they crack it, and they give it to you just to see what's inside.
Fair. Yeah, like I said, this is they're suggesting that it's probably just another concretion. It sort of looks like one, but it's like tiny.
Can I just say before we start this next one that I was trying to read over Carla's shoulder and I misread it twice. I read the Guadalupe worm, in which case I was like, ew. and then here it says it is fully human. I read it is a fluffy human, and I was like, what is a fluffy human?
It's a fluffy human worm from Guadalupe. Clearly. I mean, if they found one of those, I'd be pretty
Impressed?
I would be impressed.
And terrified.
I would be. At the same time, easy. It'd be like something out of Dune or whatever.
Oh, yuck.
Tremors.
Tremors, that's the better one. It's a graboid.
It's a graboid. Well, I mean, in Dune, they have the guy who becomes like half worm.
Ew.
Oh, I forgot about that.
No.
That's in book 4,
You
I
want me
think.
to read these books?
I don't know, I haven't read that one.
Ooh.
Okay.
Just read the first one. It's the best
Okay,
one.
that's fine.
Okay. Our next one is the Guadalupe woman that was discovered in 1812. It's a fully human, not fluffy, but fully human skeleton of a woman, minus the head and feet. The formation it is embedded in is a limestone rock dated between 25 to 28 million years old. And it's stored in the basement of the British Museum right now, out of view of the public, because I think it's too controversial.
Okay, so looking into this one more. This is another one that's kind of hard to find any information about. But I did find one place which apparently has some of the stuff from this site. Apparently, it's called the Charleston Museum. There's been at least 3 skeletons found from this area. And from what I can tell, the 25 to 28 million years old is from the rock age only, but the site is apparently something like 2,000 years old. I've also seen stuff from the 15th century, but I haven't seen that actually backed up by anything. I don't know. It's a wonky one to actually try to investigate, because if you just type in Guadalupe woman, you either get all the conspiracy sites, which is not helpful because they're all saying the same thing, or you get just nothing. So you had to like finagle around your search terms to find it.
Maybe they're right. Maybe it is a conspiracy.
So the idea is that this is a burial site, and the burials are trapped in beach rock that calcified quickly, creating stone or fossil specimens. In 2005, the site became an archaeological park. You can go here and take a look at this place, but it's starting to wear away pretty badly, apparently.
So is it limestone or sandstone?
I don't know. I'm just looking here. Let me open up the site again.
Okay.
I have it right here.
Because the bones are in a limestone, which I thought, well, that would make,
Yeah.
that's how you get like stalactites and stuff, all that dripping and minerals and stuff like that. I thought, well, maybe it's a concretion and they haven't been there that long. But if it's sandstone,
I don't even think
know.
this is a concretion. I think it's just straight up like,
it bones?
there's just a bunch. It is bones.
They're not fossilized.
Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing mixed things about whether this is actually stone or not. If you look at the pictures, it's not fossilized.
I didn't think so.
Because it's still got
which is what's weird.
all the stuff in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that they're just saying they're encased, which makes them quote-unquote fossil specimens. But you can look at the archaeological park online. Here, I'll just go ahead and send it over to you guys if you want to take a look. But if you go to, for the listeners, it is the Charleston Museum Fossil of Guadalupe thing. And they've got fragments from it. But this is like literally the only even somewhat, I would say, reputable source. Aside from, you can look, actually, I found a PDF of the original, well, not the straight up original, but from the 1800s discussion of this, which is kind of neat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I read through that a little bit, and it reads like a very old thing, so it's difficult to really parse, but the basic idea is they found this, and it's not... The science that they were using was back in like the 1800s, so it's difficult to tell how legit it was, unfortunately.
It's interesting, though.
It is very interesting. Apparently, there's a bunch of things here, like I said, 3 skeletons, that's dated most... this 2,000 year number comes from, apparently found a dog there, and some like pottery and tools and things.
Now, did the other skeletons...
And they were dating using that.
Did the other skeletons have their heads and feet?
It was... Let me see. See if they actually said anything about it.
Because I'm thinking...
There are 3 skeletons.
They have killed this woman.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
possible.
weird.
It does sound like she was... If you look at the picture, she's like curled up in a little bit of a ball, and her head and feet are missing. Yeah. It's kind of strange.
Sounds real suspicious.
Yeah.
It does sound pretty suspicious. No, it's another... The second skeleton was a skeleton minus the skull.
See, that's even weirder.
That's almost a serial killer. 3. Yeah.
3 probably on different times, otherwise you're a spree killer.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
You have to have a cool down period.
Yep.
I'm kind of worried that you guys know this.
True.
Who hasn't
true
sat and
junkies.
watched 1,000 murder mysteries?
Yeah.
And true crime things and listen to all the podcasts.
That would be me, I guess, 1 of 4.
1 out of every 4 people.
Exactly.
Yep. Sounds about right.
I'm too busy, looking up the out-of-place artifacts. And
Clearly.
Yeah. And getting all my information from Pinterest. I do use Pinterest a lot, but it's usually for crafts.
Yeah, for craft ideas, yeah.
And known as the, bastion of science everywhere.
Definitely. The supreme authority.
Oh my God. I swear, have you guys ever clicked on a Pinterest link from a search and actually seen anything useful?
A few of the farm ones will have the actual article that you're wanting to read, but most of them don't.
No, it's just like you get an image. If you're lucky, you get an image roughly related to what you're searching for.
Yep.
And it's just nothing else. And I'm like, why did I click on this link?
Yeah, I've done that. But the farm ones are usually the only ones that I have found that actually talk about what they say they were going to talk about. But not even all of them.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I don't understand it. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, the next one is the microchip in stone, found in Labinsk, Russia. It is thought to be some sort of ancient microchip. The rock dates to 250 million years ago. I don't know what microchips look like, but this one didn't look like a modern type of microchip. And
okay, it doesn't look like a microchip at all. I think they were getting that from just the fact that it's got like a pattern.
Yeah.
I guess.
But it's very tiny too. It is very tiny, so it's a tiny microchip.
It is very small.
Mm-hmm.
It's very small. It's got some weird pattern on it. If you Google, I don't actually know what you have to Google for this one to actually see it.
Gosh, I have it in this book. I was trying to look it up.
Russian microchip 250. Okay, yeah, if you just type in 250 million year old Russian microchip,
it comes up.
I want a picture though.
I have a picture in the book. Which they probably...
Yeah, okay, so...
I feel like that looks more like a circuit, almost.
It does look more like a circuit of some kind.
It looks more like a circuit, and it's like...
still,
it's essentially a rectangle with some things that look like... It looks like a drawing of a circuit more than a circuit.
Or like it's been burned into it.
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4... There's 5 connection, quote-unquote, things. This is almost certainly, according to I don't know, paleontologist people, a crinoid. This is from, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, Matus Hisny. Okay, it's spelled Matus with some stuff on top of it. Hyzny. So, he's from the Department of Geology and Paleontology of the Faculty of Natural Sciences of the Comenius University in Bratislava.
That was a
So,
mouthful.
Yep.
It was a mouthful. He identified as the lengthwise cut of a crinoid, which is something similar to sea urchins and starfish. I have one.
Yeah.
Huh.
I have
Does it look
crinoid.
like that?
Well, mine is not cut
Well, see,
lengthwise.
I haven't seen
so,
any
no.
cut like that, so I wouldn't have a clue on what they look like.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I guess we could look at a lengthwise cut of a crinoid.
We're gonna have to hunt us up one and cut it in two. I have.
Oh my
I
God.
have the soles.
They are honestly pretty cheap, so you can just get them.
And you say we're the only murder fans.
I'm cutting up fossils. There's a slight difference.
That's a good alibi.
If I had to guess, it's like of the stem part. It looks
Yeah.
sort of like it, actually.
Does it?
But I'm not seeing anybody who's actually cut them open. Ah, no, it's a rock tumbling thing. It looks very similar if you do find
It
one.
doesn't-
Crinoid and limestone.
I mean, it's a really cool fossil or whatever, but it does not look. I didn't think it looked electronic. I thought it looked more
no,
more
like I said, it looks like a. Yeah, it is very patterned, which is cool. And actually, a fun thing, it's probably more than 400 million years old,
probably.
which is pretty neat. But yeah, not a microchip probably. It is neat looking though. You should Google it. It's fun.
Okay, now
Or Bing it.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft.
the next several are found in coal, which is a little closer to what we're used to around here. The first one is a wheel, the impression of a wheel, like a wagon wheel. And I think the first time I saw this, it said it was a Roman wagon wheel, but I cannot find that article anywhere. Ariel's over here dying.
That's because me and Mallory thought of the same song at the same time.
What, the wheels on the bus?
No, it's that wagon wheel one.
Yep.
Oh,
No, it's in my head. Thank you very much. Anyway, this is
that's a good
it is a
song.
good
It
though.
is a very good song.
It's an imprint of a wagon wheel discovered in a coal mine in 2008 in the Ukrainian city of Donetsk.
Donetsk.
Okay.
I have
The
no
coal
idea.
is believed to be. I know. I was good with it. I was good with it. The coal is believed to be 300 million years old, and the mine is now closed and the tunnel flooded so that no one would be in there looking around for it and they could continue their work. So, instead of like actually investigating, they're like, no, this is going to cost us money, so we're just going to close that tunnel. But they did have
Yeah.
one picture or two, a couple of them maybe.
No, there's a few
Is it-
pictures. Yeah, no, it legit looks like an old wooden
It
wheel,
does.
just like maybe 2 feet across. It's hard to tell scale in the picture, but 2 feet across, and it looks like a wagon wheel. I don't know what to tell you. It looks great. There was no investigation of it because at the time, as you were saying, they didn't want to waste money basically by having people come in and do this, and they were like losing time. So nobody ever investigated. They never had anybody down there. The miners tried to remove it apparently, but they were unable to get it out of the limestone without possibly damaging it. So they just left it there, and they took a couple pictures. If you look it up, it looks like a wagon wheel.
It does.
Like, I mean,
It really
I don't
does.
know what else it could be.
I mean, even the details
I
of the
mean-
wagon wheel. I mean, you can see.
Yeah, I know. If it was just like a circular thing, I'd be like, whatever. But it's got the spokes. It's got everything.
Yeah.
It looks like a wagon wheel. It's wild. If it's a legit picture, I have no idea what that is, unless it's a wagon wheel somehow embedded in the stone. It's really weird.
Yep.
It's a microchip.
It's a
it's a
very big
macro
one.
chip.
That's for the giants. That comes later in a
Maybe we'll
curiosity
call it a
thing.
macrochip.
Yeah. It's a strange
It
one.
is.
Yeah, I could find nothing about this, but it's flooded now and nobody can go see it.
Yep.
So this is lame.
Dumb.
Like,
Yep.
let somebody in there. I want to see it.
I mean, you
Let
would
me
think they
in.
could have at least had a couple scientists come in for a day or two, but no.
Yeah, for real. Like on a weekend or something.
I
I
know,
don't know. Unless they're running 24/7, I guess.
Yep.
But I think that, or somebody could have paid for it, but I don't know. Yeah, nobody came in.
And it's just the impression. It's like the wagon wheel was there, but it dissolved and it's been replaced by either the coal or the limestone or whatever. Because there's
Yeah,
no
it's a strange
wood. There's
thing.
no wood there.
Mm-mm.
Just the imprint. Okay, our next one is an iron pot from Oklahoma, and it was found on June 11th, 1891, embedded in a lump of coal. The lump of coal was too large to use at the municipal electric power plant, and the worker, we just have his first name, Thomas, broke it open, and the pot fell out. Jim Stahl, another employee, witnessed it. The coal was believed to be about 320 million years old.
Okay. So this one. The only evidence I can find about it is that two dudes, I'm guessing these two dudes, if I remember correctly, wrote some letters and attested that they saw it, and it was in 1947 and 1951. So, like, 60 years after it happened.
Well, maybe no one looked into
no
it.
pictures or
Maybe
anything.
no one
It's
looked
just-
into it until then, and they were like, yeah, that happened. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's difficult to believe when it's just a couple of people saying that this happened. But, I mean, I got nothing else. Aside from the fact that, what's his name? Bao.
Yeah, shows up
What's his name?
again.
Carl Bao shows up again. He owns this thing. Or he doesn't own the original. He has what he claims are casts and recreations of the pot embedded in the stone inside the coal.
And it's not a very big
And he's-
pot. It's just about the size of your
No,
fist.
like the one that looked
Yeah.
like it was like an inch or two across. It was small.
Yeah.
It was very tiny. I don't know.
It's a weird one.
It's a weird one. In general, I don't know how you can get. There's concretion that does not explain how stuff could get into
coal.
coal.
No.
It's not a thing.
Nope.
So if there is actually anything ever found in coal and we have good evidence for it, that is real weird and it needs to be actually looked at. But this one,
Well, I wouldn't have thought much of this
I don't think
one.
anybody even knows where it is anymore, if it exists.
Probably not. But the reason this one has, in my mind, more believability was after I saw that wagon wheel.
The wagon wheel is super weird too. Yeah, I don't
Because it's
understand
like,
that
well,
one at
maybe
all.
something is going on. The next one is a bell. It's a mysterious bell discovered in a lump of coal by Newton Richard Anderson in 1944 in Buchanan, West Virginia. While stalking the furnace, the 10-year-old witnessed a lump of coal fall to the floor and break in two. A metal object was protruding from one half, and he carefully broke apart the coal and discovered a bell. And this was witnessed by his family, his parents. And being a kid, I mean, I'm sure he had a treasure in his mind. So he immediately took it and cleaned it up and scrubbed it up real good and polished it. So all evidence of that coal was, because he was proud of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of messed up any kind of documentation except the witnesses' reports. But
Dang.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a kid would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's pictures of it.
There's not just pictures of it. You can see this thing was on Ripley's Believe It or Not, which is wild. I haven't seen that particular episode, but yeah, this is like eyewitness testimony only. I think the initial breaking was just him, and then he cleaned it up in front of his family,
Yeah.
or he extricated it from
Yeah.
him from his family. And there's another show that's called Ancient Secrets of the Bible, which also discussed it. It's a pretty bell. Apparently, it rings really nice, but I got nothing else on it.
No, it was just, it's weird that where they're finding them.
Yeah, I mean, if it actually came from coal, I have no good explanation for that. I didn't see anything online about it.
And I don't think any of these people got rich off these objects. It was just, oh, this is really cool.
Nope, they just have them.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody probably sold this one eventually and got a decent chunk, but like we're talking like tens of thousands at most.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's getting rich off that. That's a lot, but it's not that much.
Yeah, especially today.
Yeah, no, that's like nothing.
I give you
today.
$20.
It's annoying.
Okay, and the last one I have is human and dino footprints found together in stone. They have been found in Texas and Turkmenia. And I think you had some.
I think it's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
I think you had some other.
I do have things.
Yes.
That sounded ominous. I'm afraid.
Okay, so basically, there's tons of discussion about these, but mostly, I wouldn't even say that they're hoaxes. I think that a lot of it is just people misinterpreting what they're looking at. If you Google this, all right, the pictures that come up first are of legitimate footprints in stone type stuff.
Yeah.
And that's very convincing because they're straight up footprints. Almost all of those pictures are not from these sites. If you look at the ones from the sites, they don't, like from the actual location close to the dinosaur thing, they don't look like footprints at all. I don't know what these people are talking about. Like if you look at it's like a elongated, weird foot-shaped thing with no toes, for the most part. And the ones that do sort of have toes are like just shallow indentations that don't really look like a foot. The Turkmenian ones are like more foot-like, I would say, but here, I'm going to send you guys a couple of links. Maybe you can look at it on Mallory's computer so you can see what I'm talking about here. All right, it's in the general chat.
Okay, there's the one from Texas, the Glen Rose, Texas, that looks like it has, now, this is what it looks like. It has like a human type footprint with a three-toed dinosaur footprint over top of it. Did you see that one?
So I looked for that one. Do you know where it is?
It says,
or what it's called?
It's the Biloxi River Basin in Glen Rose, Texas. Location of Dinosaur Valley State Park.
Yeah, let's see if I can find this one.
It is not letting me open that link. I think probably because of our Wi-Fi. It says that we have
and
a
it says it's
firewall.
a feminine print because there's actually ways to tell a male print from a female print. There's certain, I don't know which ones they are. I didn't learn that when I was at that school, but there is a way to tell the difference between female and male prints for humans anyway.
Let's see, Biloxi. I definitely spelled Biloxi wrong.
It's Paluxy.
Yeah. I'm looking for this one where, okay. I see.
It's the, let's see, Alvis Delk print.
Yeah, the Elvis Delk print. Hold on a second. That's the one. That's the only one I've seen that actually has toes and has a dino footprint. Elvis Delk print. Let's see what people say about this one, because I did not actually find this one when I was looking. I saw a bunch of other ones.
I mean, it looks very human, but I don't know what kind of dinosaur that is.
Well, the first article that comes up is this obviously fake track. I was like, I don't know how it's obviously fake. I don't get it.
I don't know how they know either, because it looks weathered like the rest of the stone. I mean, it doesn't.
No, I get you. Like,
it doesn't look like there's any sharp chisel marks where they've like carved it out, or.
I'm trying to find anybody who has talked about this aside from something.
Aside
here we go.
Aside from my people, right?
No, aside from the people who actually own this thing.
Oh.
Oh, it's Carl Bow again, though. I'm just going to put that.
You know, maybe he's the time traveler that has went around dropping all this stuff and leaving all these traces.
He's just been going back and he's like
trying to collect it all so that it's not out there anymore and he doesn't get in trouble.
Okay, but
that's
speaking of time travelers, have you guys ever seen, I guess every time Daniel Radcliffe goes on the Graham Norton show, people send in pictures.
Yes, I have seen that.
People send in pictures of the Graham Norton show of like all these people throughout time that look just like Daniel Radcliffe.
I haven't seen them.
They are so funny.
Yes.
Did you find any more about the print?
I'm looking, yeah. Okay, so the main issue with this thing is that it is a very legitimate looking print that has never been photographed or like looked at in situ, like not in the location. So the ones actually at Biloxi, Biloxi, don't look like footprints. This one doesn't. It was never photographed in the location, but apparently, let's see here. Yeah, there's only a single. Our evidence against us, or the arguments against it. There's only a single print. It was never seen in the location. This one says, could leave a track that is so straight from big toe to heel, even if they turn their leg inwards.
Oh, some of those.
They're basically saying it looks wrong.
Some of them do. They look really weird.
Yeah.
But that one was like, that one looks more
I mean,
like a
if
print.
it was legit, I don't know enough about looking at footprints to know why that doesn't look like a footprint.
Which,
because it looks like a footprint to me. I'm just as
the one you were just talking
an
about?
amateur footprint looker. Yeah, the Elvis Delk print.
Oh.
No, the
some
ones
of the
that
other ones look weird. It's like they're
like elongated or the wrong shape, or they don't have toes. Or there's like the ones actually in situ that are still there that you can go look at or were there when they have pictures of, don't look like footprints. This is the only one that looks like a legit footprint to me. But also, I'm not a footprint expert, and apparently footprint experts say that it doesn't look like a footprint. So I don't know why it doesn't look like
it looks
a
like one
footprint.
to me too. And for them to be able to say, "Oh, it's a female."
Okay, it is hard to envision. This is what it says
I think it's-
on.
Do you think maybe it's because they can't believe it actually happened? There's a reason they think that it couldn't be a footprint. It has to be fake.
I definitely think that would like sway them in some way, but I'm trying to figure out exactly why this. Apparently, it's not a crocanthosaurus. I don't. A crocanthosaurus. A crocanthosaurus. Have you ever heard of a crocanthosaurus?
Just a giant crocodile type.
Well, apparently it's not that kind of track. It looks sort of like one, but it's not. I don't know.
See, I thought the human track looked more believable than the dinosaur one.
Oh, I want one.
Yeah, I would say so.
I
The
love it.
dinosaur one looks more fake to me.
But who's went back that long to like fake a dinosaur print over a footprint that we're going to find like
Yeah.
a couple 100,000 years later? I don't know.
No, or like it. I guess it could be a modern recreation. I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird.
It's a weird looking print. I'm not saying anything. The issue is all the stuff on here, like that they're talking about why it does or doesn't work. I don't know these words, like freeability or friability.
Gosh,
Like this one says.
what's it say about the friability?
It says, I find it very difficult to believe that a rock this friable, friable,
That's probably crumbly.
could be carved without disintegrating.
That's crumbly.
This friability is quite
It's crumbly,
Yeah.
like.
friability is quite common in the main track bearing layer of the Paluxy.
Which means it would be hard because it would be hard to carve out.
Oh, they're saying they don't know how they removed it without destroying it.
Oh, okay.
That was such a long pause.
We can make it shorter.
I know. I was just like, what?
We were looking.
Okay, anyway, yeah, though this one's an interesting looking one. I would say look into this one more, guys, because I am reading about it, and there's not like been a detailed breakdown that I am seeing that is very good. But I also think that if it's from Carl Bao and he's the only one who's ever seen it, like, I mean, in C2 or whatever, it's a little questionable.
Well, he's our time traveler, remember?
No, I mean, if he's a time traveler, this is completely moot, but I don't know. It's weird.
It's neat. And there's like these are just the ones in stands. There are all kinds of out of place artifacts. Some of them are just things that you find other places in the world, but you don't expect to find them in the location they were discovered. Like
Yeah,
the
there's a
runes
bunch
of
of
the
really
United
cool ones.
States, dating back so far. There are some things called the Dropa stones, which they actually look like. I think I can't remember if they're concrete, like stone or metal, but they look like records, like a record player with the grooves, an album. And there's like some carvings of. See, what is the one that was in the first book? I had never seen it before. It is the Mystery Stone. Construction workers were digging near Lake Winnipesaukee in 1892, and they found a strange lump of clay, and it's got all kinds of well-carved symbols and a face on it, and it looks very Native American. It's got corn and teepees, and anyway, it's just a really weird little stone that it was in New Hampshire. So that was up where you were.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
I've been there.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that people find that since they can't explain it, they say they have to be fake. But maybe we were just more traveled a long time ago than we are now.
I fully think that's the case.
I think there was more of a global civilization, not like as a one civilization, but there was people traveling all over the place a lot longer than we give them credit for.
So I will say, there was this book that I read. I don't actually know if I ever finished it. It's called something of the Gods.
Chariot of the Gods?
Not Chariot. It's the sequel to that one.
Is it Von Daniken?
1 second. It's called Von Daniken is the... I have it on Audible. Let me just look it up real quick.
Okay.
But basically, it's about how there was some comet hit the Earth a long time ago. Something like, was it 12,000, 16,000 years ago, and wiped out out whatever civilization was there back then. Right?
I was thinking it was longer than that, but okay.
No, this is the number at least I've heard from his book.
Okay. I was thinking I thought Chariots of the Gods was like longer than that. I was thinking it was closer to like, I don't know, maybe 100,000 years ago or something. But maybe not. It's been a very long time since I've read that one.
Yeah, I've never read Chariots of the Gods. Why is this so hard? Oh, and this is American Gods. I can just look.
You're not going to find it there.
By Graham Hancock, Magicians of the Gods.
Magicians of the Gods, okay. We actually have that
by
book.
Graham Hancock. It's pretty good.
Yep.
I didn't finish it, but I got most of the way through it. He was talking about some actually legitimate stuff.
Yeah.
Like about Pyramid Ages or the Age of the Sphinx, I think was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Using some new techniques and stuff like that. It's very interesting. I'm not entirely sure how like accepted a lot of this stuff is. He's not a scientist. He just tries to compile together some findings and tries to like buck the main trends, basically. So it's difficult to tell how legit it is, but it's an interesting book.
The geology
of talking about how
of the Sphinx.
Yeah, go ahead.
The geology of the Sphinx is dated to at least 10,000 years ago because of the water erosion. And a very top name geologist, I can't remember, is it Shockey or maybe I can't remember his name. He's the first one that came up with that, and man, he was really, really ridiculed for a while.
Yeah, I think one of the ones I've heard that's actually pretty legit even recently is I can't remember what the actual technique is called, but basically they look at the last time a stone has had its surface exposed to light, and apparently we can do that nowadays.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which is buck wild.
Yeah.
Apparently the UV rays or whatever, they penetrate a little bit into it, and you can tell based on some like effectively residue how long ago that was. Not residue like it's actually got goopy on it, but it changes the chemical structure a little bit.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know they could do that. And the guy that
oh my God,
Graham Hancock spoke to about the comet thing is Randall Carlson. And he is incredibly interesting if anyone wants to watch his videos. He really knows his stuff, and he puts all kinds of things together into like from different fields, and it makes a really good points on stuff. He talks about why, and one of them, why cultures from around the world all celebrate like a Day of the Dead type thing around Halloween. And he blames it on comets or meteors, a meteor storm we went through. It's pretty interesting.
Interesting.
I would highly recommend Randall Carlson. He has all kinds of YouTube videos, and he is very scientific and matter of fact with his proposals.
Here's the other place. So there's the Sphinx thing that he talks about, which is apparently very, very controversial, and generally Egyptologists don't believe it. But there's another site that he talks about a lot. It's called Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
Which is also very interesting and sort of, at least according to him, points to a what's it called an antediluvian civilization.
Yes.
Roughly the same sort of technology level as like the Sphinx.
Yep. About
people, or so the the Egyptians at the time.
Roughly 12,500 years ago.
Yes, that's when they would have been wiped out, presumably.
I can't believe you didn't know about Göbekli Tepe.
Well, I know it's in that book. That's the only reason I know about it at all, was because of that book. I haven't done much research into this, so I don't know how much of that is all legit or what the modern stuff says about it.
Göbekli Tepe is a legit site.
I know it is a site. I've seen pictures of it.
And it's dated to that time period, and it's a lot bigger than what they've excavated so far.
Yeah, and they keep excavating. They claim that it's like getting more advanced the further down they go. I don't know. It's a strange thing.
It's pretty interesting. They have one stone, one of the uprights, that has what they believe, or what some people believe. I don't know. I don't know who it was, but it's like people that are studying it, that the symbols represent constellations.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like they recorded a date that this stuff happened. And just for your information, that those constellations are in the sky like they were then, now. In the same positions.
Yeah, so it's dated between 9600 and 8200 BCE, so that's right around that time.
Yep. It's and it was buried on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, which is wild.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what was going on.
Yeah, 6,000 years before Stonehenge. It's a really strange one. All right, yeah, that's basically all I've got. There's a bunch more of these out-of-place artifacts that are all over the place. Some of them are very strange. Other ones are clearly not strange, and they're just kind of fake. But some of them are really good. Like, one of them is like Shroud of Turin, right? That's not that old.
Yeah.
But everybody claimed it was like really old back in the day. It's like from the 1500s. But you also got stuff like the Antikytherian device, which is probably something for astronomy, but it's dope looking. You know,
the Greeks, I think are sold short a lot of times. They had a lot going on, and I think
they had a lot of free time.
Well, they did.
The Greeks did,
but it's like there was a lot of people during that time that really knew what was going on, and they were. I think I heard one time that the Greeks were maybe a piston away from the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, I believe it. They were very, very intelligent.
Figured that out, there would have been an Industrial Revolution a lot earlier than there was.
Well, what was it? There was that steam engine that somebody made. I think it was either Greek or Roman times. Hold on a second.
Their revolution would have been over, just like the Library of Alexandria.
But it was just some...
Yeah. They'd had tanks.
It was just made of some toy, basically.
Yeah. Well, they invented the first vending machines. You went to the temple and you put your coins in, and it dispensed you a pigeon to sacrifice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not
It's
bad.
also like they had all kinds of stuff, and then I think it was like what the Mycenaeans, I think, originally, like before the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
It's like they had so much stuff. They had like flushing toilets and everything.
Yeah.
And then all of that just went away. Bye-bye. We had to start all over from scratch. That's wild to think about. So like I think a lot of different civilizations could have been a lot more advanced than we like to think, just because we don't know nearly enough about how advanced they were. Like they've been like either erased or whatever happened to them happened, and there's nothing left to show for it.
Disaster or something.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so the steam engine from 30 BC, just FYI. So if they would have just like figured out how to harness that better,
they were pretty intelligent. But a lot of people back then they had to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of arrogant that we think that we're, it.
Or a bunch of idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mean, if you think about it, we're advanced, yes, but I don't think we're nearly as advanced as we could be.
Yeah. That's because
No, if we skipped down the Dark Ages, or if we'd like, not...
Yeah.
But if they quit patenting stuff and you could actually use the information.
Yeah, it could get better. Yep.
Anyway, it's interesting stuff. I love to look that far back and try to find stuff. And to me, it's just fascinating.
Mm-hmm. It is very cool.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of really cool stuff out there.
Yeah, this was
And
a
I
fun
like the
episode.
weird conspiracies and the what if they're right. I mean, it's like reading science fiction books and hoping they're really real.
Yeah. It basically is. I mean, I really wish a lot of stuff was real. It'd make stuff a lot more interesting.
Maybe it is.
Same thing, like, I wish how magic was real. And, like, legit, I could be a wizard and cast spells and junk.
Magic is real.
Even if it was something like, well, I can't make stuff levitate or whatever with my brain, so...
That sounds like a you problem.
Because you're not trying hard enough.
I don't know. When I was, like, younger, I tried real hard to do all this stuff.
You weren't trained then. Your brain wasn't strong enough.
That's
and
right.
now that you're an adult, you're a big
That's what it is.
skeptic.
Yep.
And
You've talked yourself out of it.
yep, it's you problem.
You grew up and limited
what,
your brain.
When somebody shows me that they can do it and teach me how to do it, then I'll be a legit
No.
believer.
It can't be teach you how to do it. If you don't got the skill, you don't got the skill, man.
Oh my gosh, that's not fair.
Life ain't fair, bud.
This is like
Let's see.
my mad scientist evil backstory right here is I couldn't learn how to do it,
This is
so now
his villain
nobody can
origin
do it.
story.
I think we're all capable of like great things and magic. We just have to.
Yeah.
But no, I think he is too. He is of my lineage. He is.
Oh, wow.
Did you not watch Halloween Town? Okay, remember the boy? He could do magic, and then he talked himself out of it, and then he couldn't do magic anymore.
Oh my God, yeah, that's Zach.
That's Zach.
For sure. Maybe
Rude.
a little bit less anxious, but still.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, a little bit.
A little bit.
I feel like.
I haven't seen this one.
It's like the best Halloween movie ever.
Anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. There's a lot of things that'll make you think. So just do some research. We have these 3 books that I mentioned earlier here. So you could come and check them out. But there's a lot of stuff on the internet too. And there's a lot of other authors that write stuff like this. So check it out.
Yeah, that was a super fun episode. Do we have any other final thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Okay. Well, our next episode, we actually only have scripted our final book chat. We should be having a guest speaker on with that. And we don't actually know who's coming in yet. So surprise. And we also have a few more tricks up our sleeves, but we don't want to spoil the fun. So don't worry. We'll be back with more. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's time for us to sign off, but before we go, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shush you. Mainly because we can't make promises about being quiet either.